Welcome to Training for a Better Week. I'm Mitch. Before we get into the week, let's take a moment to arrive. Wherever you are, pause what you're doing. Let your shoulders drop, unclench your jaw, take a slow breath in and out. Most of us spend a lot of the day in a kind of automatic mode. Right now we're doing something different, noticing that rusty autopilot and practicing arriving a little more consciously. For this moment of arrival, let this be a small act of self-authorship, not running on default, but choosing to arrive on purpose. One more steady breath, and we begin. Let us move into reflection. Just like arrival, there's a default and an authored way to meet this part of the week. On the default path, we do not reflect at all. We roll straight into the next week on the momentum of the last one, the habits, reactions, and patterns we never really saw, and we simply repeat the week we just lived. The authored way is to pause and look back with presence rather than judgment, to see where autopilot took over and where you actually chose your response. Reflection gives visibility, and visibility gives choice. You cannot change what you cannot see. Today we'll use 3 questions to review your week. As each one comes up, pause the video and answer it, in your head, on paper, or in the weekly reflection form linked in the video. Remember, you'll only get value from this session if you actually engage with the questions rather than just listening to them. The first question is, what do I feel proud of myself for this week? Most of us almost never ask this. On the default path, our attention goes straight to gaps and failures. This question shifts your focus to where you showed capability, courage, or follow through, even in small ways. When you notice these moments, you reinforce that part of you that acts from strength instead of autopilot, and that becomes fuel for your next week. I'll talk more about pride, specifically what I call private pride, as opposed to public pride at another time, because it's a kind of compass that you can use to steer your life towards what's important to you. The second question is, what did I feel nourished by this week? Most of us notice what drains us and overlook what actually feeds us. This question shifts your attention to what strengthened you, moments of connection, kindness, progress, or simple ease. These are not soft details, they are signals showing what truly supports you, so you can choose more of it and make your week lighter and steadier. The third question is, if I could relive any part of this week, what would I do differently? This question turns hindsight into capability. Instead of avoiding uncomfortable moments or beating yourself up, you revisit one moment with clarity and imagine the authored version of you handling it differently. You're rehearsing a better move for next time, so that you do not just repeat the week. You learn from it and bring that learning forward. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll find a link to the weekly reflection form in the video description. If you're on the iDojo website, the link is just below the video. Use the form to capture your answers each week and revisit them over time. Now we come to the section I'm calling the lens. Each week in Training for a Better Week, the lens introduces one simple distinction that helps you see your life more clearly. When I say distinction, just think a piece of language or a concept that marks something out. Distinctions are like invisible lenses we look through. A distinction is simply a clear boundary in how we see things. It takes something that was blended into the background and makes it stand out. When you have a good distinction, you get a sharper way of looking at your week. So something that was default and unseen becomes visible. This week's lens is the distinction between habits and practices. Self-authorship is the capability to shape your life so that it's more of what is important to you. It's about reclaiming control of the direction and texture of your life. But here's the problem. Most of the time, we're not actually the ones in charge. Our habits are. A lot of productivity experts and self-help authors talk about building better habits. What they usually mean is a regular routine you choose to do. But habit also has a second meaning that describes something that runs automatically, without effort, and those two meanings are not the same thing. In iDojo, and whenever I talk about self-authorship, I separate those out. When I say habit, I mean the automatic kind, the routine that runs you. When I say practice, I mean the intentional kind, the routine you choose and do on purpose. If you confuse those two, it can be dangerous because you start thinking you're in control in areas of your life where you're actually on autopilot. A habit is an automatic response in a particular situation. You do not choose it in the moment, it just fires. You pick up your phone just for a second to check social media. 20 minutes later, you're still scrolling. Someone criticizes you. You shut down or lash out before you've even had a chance to think. A colleague or friend asks you for a favor. Sure, comes out of your mouth before you've even checked whether you have the time or energy. That is a habit, a pattern your mind and body have learned so well that it now runs on its own. If you do something often enough and it seems to produce outcomes that you value, your mind learns, great, I'll take it from here. It automates the response to lock in what worked last time and save energy. And this is the trap. Because once locked in, habits happen to us. Because we have a blind spot to our own habits. Like a fish in water, we don't see the water, we just see the world through it. So we live in an environment that's shaped by our habits, and then we tell ourselves we're in control of that environment. But if your reactions are automatic, if your evenings, your mornings, your arguments, your scrolling, your eating, your work patterns are all running on old code, then you're not actually steering. That is what I call the default path. The default path is the life you get when yesterday's habits keep deciding what happens today and what you'll live out of tomorrow. And here is the brutal consequence to this. Habits are excellent at repeating the past. They're terrible at creating a future you've never lived before. Your habits will happily rebuild the same day, the same week, the same year, over and over again, but they'll never take you somewhere truly new. And every genuine positive change in your life is by definition somewhere new. They cannot do that. It's not what they're designed for. So if you want something new in your life, a different body, a different level of energy, different work, different relationships, the first move is not positive thinking, not another set of affirmations, not a fresh vision board or a better planner. The first move is to wake up to the default, to see where your life is being run on autopilot. Self-authorship is the part of you that can step above your habits, see the pattern and choose a different move, even when every fiber of your conditioning is pulling you back into the old response. Habits are the building blocks of your capability, but left unchecked, they're also the single biggest limiter on the life you could have. The authored path is what rescues you from that loop. It is you becoming the one who decides which habits stay, which habits go, and where your life is actually headed. In this series, that is what we are training. Less life happening to you, more life being authored by you. Now to the practice moment. Each week in Training for a Better Week, we add one simple practice to focus on. Practice is where the ideas and distinctions we talk about here stop being interesting and start becoming real capability. The purpose of a meaningful practice is to reshape the routines of your life, gradually replacing default mode habits with authored mode practices. For this week, choose one automatic pattern in your life that you want to bring more authorship to. One habit whose negative impact you'd like to reduce. A quick aside, this only works if you actually care. Pick something that actually frustrates you and you want to change. Care is the fuel of self-authorship. Step 1. Choose one habit you want to change. For example, doom scrolling when you feel bored, snacking when you feel peckish, procrastinating when a task feels uncomfortable. Step 2. Notice and brace. When you notice this pattern starting, stop. Take 3 slow, deep breaths and ask yourself, what is more important in this moment? And listen for the answer. In step 3, make a 1% different move. Do something slightly different that feels closer to what is more important to you in this moment. That's it. This is how we start to replace our habits. This week is not about fully replacing the habit. It's about proving to yourself that you can step above it, even for one small move. There are 2 other sections I want to build into Training for a Better Week over time: intention and community. I'm not including them this week because I'm still working out how to keep these sessions as powerful as possible while also keeping them succinct. So for now, we'll stay with the core pattern: arrival, reflection, lens, and one practice. For this week, that's enough to work with. So this has been Training for a Better Week. We close here with appreciation, not for a perfect week, but for this one. For what went well, what helped you, and any small steps you took in a better direction. Appreciation is a way of facing your life as a gift, not just as a problem to fix. Returning to the fact that you are here with another week you get to author. Your next week starts in the choices you make today. See you next Sunday. you.